Order in the court.
Everything in this video is alleged, and the opinions in this video are solely just the opinions of me. So my Mother's Day special continues, and I decided to throw in some verdict watch because yes, these are mothers too. This happened in Upper Makefield Township in Pennsylvania. This was a very, very tragic double murder. It happened in a wealthy Philadelphia suburb. Trinh Nguyen, 38, had planned this for a week. That's what police are saying. She was in the middle of a custody battle. She received an eviction letter, and she had to vacate this beautiful home on May 3rd. Now, Nguyen and the father of her youngest son, Jeffrey Tinney, that's her son's name, were married in 2015. They divorced October 18th, 2021. The ex-couple agreed the value of their Philadelphia home would be split in half equally. So that means Nguyen would have received over $220,000. She was also granted monthly support payments. I guess maybe child support, spousal support, but she was granted the fee of the house and additional payments. That's what she acquired during this divorce. Now, Nguyen's only request was that her youngest son, Jeffrey, was able to visit Vietnam. I guess this is a Vietnamese family, every other summer. I wasn't sure. Oh no, actually I do know. I believe the father did agree to that. Now, the oldest son of Nguyen is another man. I believe I read something about him. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to stick to what I have prepared right now. So, of course, things sound easy when they really aren't. Now, Nguyen now told the courts that her ex-husband didn't get the passport. So that's what makes me think that the ex-husband did agree that the youngest child, his child, could go to Vietnam. All right, so in a rebuttal, the ex-husband suggested, I guess this was part of the court documents. I'm not sure, but the husband did say that she hadn't gotten a job yet. So I guess maybe that was a requirement, but she hadn't gotten a job yet. She was only at this point selling eyelashes online. And again, she got evicted from that house and she had to be out May 3rd. That's actually the ex-husband's sister's property. So the landlord was, her ex-sister-in-law. She was to pay $2,400 monthly. And she actually got behind where she owed $11,000. So, yeah, she had to get out. She had to get out of there. Nguyen got some photos together. I guess it was of the children. And she brought it to Gianni Melchando. And that is her ex's nephew. So that's her ex-nephew-in-law. And she got these pictures together and they met. I think they lived next door because they also describe Melchando as also a neighbor. So I believe he lives next door. She was handing him the box full of pictures, and as Melchando turned around, she aimed a .38 caliber gun at him. She actually pulled the trigger twice, and luckily it did not go off. He had managed to bear hug her and take the gun from her possession. Now, don't quote me on this part. I think Melchando is 22 years old, the nephew. I believe he is. He unloaded the gun and he gave the gun back to her. That's what the article said. But he did unload it, give it back to her, and called the police. So yes, her intentions was to kill him if she pulled the gun twice, and the trigger twice, and it didn't go off. And then when he takes the gun from her, there are bullets in there. So he really lucked out, most definitely. She would then get in her Toyota minivan and she would speed off. So she was arrested in nearby Washington Crossing. And that gun was still with her and it was reloaded. She also had packages of heroin inside the minivan, swabs of blood, and there was a note on a dashboard. A lot of the note was, of course, blackened out, but there was a part that said, quote, "My children are dead in the bed," end quote, and it had the address. She also enclosed her signature on this letter and instructions on what to do with her children's body and her body too, because she had planned to, I guess, overdose on the heroin that she had just got. I also read that she got the heroin from New Jersey. Now, don't quote me on that part right there, but she did have the heroin inside the vehicle with her. So her intentions was to end her life, but she was still alive. When they went and found her sons, she had shot them both in the head while they were asleep in their bed. The brothers was actually found alive. They were brought to the hospital and put on life support where they had died. Now, Jeffrey Tinney, they call him JT, he was 13. And Nelson Trinny, he was 9 years old. And I have to change something right quick. I believe the child of her last husband was Nelson Tinney. That was his child, the 9-year-old. So she wanted the 9-year-old to be able to go, to our country. And she was just mad that, he didn't have the passports ready. So maybe now this is just me speculating. Maybe he thought that maybe she was going away and not coming back. I have no idea, but she said every other summer. They said Jeffrey, JT, he was on a swim team. He attended the 8th grade at the Newtown Middle School. And they said Nelson Tinney, he was a 3rd grader that attended So Finestone Elementary. She's actually being charged with first-degree murder on both of her sons. And there is a lot more to the story, of course, but just wanted to bring you the gist of it. Very, very sad story. The next tragic story happened in Ocala County, Florida. Joanne Zephry, 36 years old, she had forced her children to drink bleach over the Mother's Day weekend. Joanne had a 3-year-old daughter that was in the car with her, found unconscious. Her 8-year-old was wandering around a parking lot of where the mother had parked the car. The car was at a church, or parked in the parking lot by a church in Osceola County. The police was notified and they came there and they did find Joanne Zephir, in the car, unconscious with her 3-year-old. They were all taken to the hospital. Unfortunately, the 3-year-old ended up passing away. The 8-year-old was treated and released to family members. Zephir admitted to authorities that she did force both her children to drink bleach. She had drank bleach herself. She said she believed that the family or a family member had put a voodoo spell on her that made her harm her children. So this was supposed to be a murder-suicide. But instead, unfortunately, the 3-year-old had passed away. And of course, Joanne Zephir is in county jail. And excuse me if I pronounced any of these names incorrectly. Now, you guys know how I like to Google and try to find pictures. I did go, and I believe this is her. If you look at these two pictures, it looks like the same woman, except, of course, she appears to be a little bit more heavier in one of the pictures than the other one. But look at the lips. You know, despite the horrific things she did, I said, wow, she has some pretty lips. And that's what made me look and, you know, put together like these two women have the same lips. It's the same woman, I believe. And she does have on her Facebook page 2 young children. One appears that she could be 8 and the other one definitely 3. I just went ahead and blurred their pictures out. But I do believe that this is the children. Cute, 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 gorgeous children. And the little one that has passed away, simply adorable. So it's horrible that happened. I'm sure more will come out on this story. In Los Angeles, now her name is Angela Flores. She is 38 years old. This actually happened on Mother's Day. The neighbors would hear Flores screaming, quote, "My family is abusing me," over and over again. And then they said, quote, "nonsense," unquote. So they said she was screaming some gibberish they couldn't make out. But she was doing this. A neighbor had actually said she had never even heard of her, didn't even know she was in that home, didn't even know that she lived there. But yet she heard this on Mother's Day. A lot of other people that knew of the young children would recall them. Now, before I get into that, the police and the paramedics had arrived to that home. They arrived on a call that there were children in there that was unresponsive. While Flores was being put on the stretcher, she kept jumping up and asking for her Bible and looking around for her Bible. Inside that very beautiful home, there were 3 children that were found dead, and by the hands of their mother and their 16-year-old brother. Police say that the 16-year-old brother did kill at least one of the children. Now, this is off the top of my head. I should have wrote this down, but there was a 12-year-old girl that was murdered. Her name was Natalie Flores, and there was twin boys. I cannot remember the twin boys' names. Why didn't I write this down? But there were twin boys' names. I believe their last name was Yanez. I think it was Kevin. And when I edit this, I'm gonna just put the names on the screen. I'm sorry. But she killed her twin boys. They were 8 years old, and her daughter, who was 12, and she had her 16-year-old son. He was an accomplice to this. She is being held on a $6 million bail, so they're not playing with her. And the 16-year-old was sent to juvenile, and he also has no bail. Again, what I was saying earlier, people that went to school, children their age who went to school had came and, they were in shock. Of course, a memorial was put outside, flowers and candles. And, some of the neighbors didn't even know that they lived in the home. And the ones that did couldn't believe that was happening. I actually was, peeking around like I like to do on Facebook. And this is a modeling picture right here of Flores. And the woman that had, I guess, hired her to model. It's for a plus size woman, I guess you would say. And she was just floored. She couldn't believe that this has happened. A lot of people that know this woman couldn't believe that this had happened. When I first saw the original picture, I was like, is this Nicole Kidman? And then I Googled it. I don't know if she has some kind of, what do you call that? Where they alter the pictures. I can't think of what they call that, but you guys know what I mean. I thought maybe that was one of those filters. Yeah, filters where they alter the pictures. But it's terrible. So we have 3 cases here. Flores, Zephir, and Nguon. 3 mothers that killed their children. Flores is said to have children that lives in another part of the United States that they found out about this, about their half siblings. And I mean, crazy, right? And this is all Mother's Day. And we still got a couple more weeks to go in Mother's Day. And I'm going to be bringing you a couple more stories about these mothers. And for those of you that just started viewing my channel, yeah, June is Father's Day. And I'll be covering the Father's Day cases too. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's very terrible. I don't know what to say, The more and more I read about these cases, talk about these cases, the more and more I stay my ass inside. Justice for everybody involved.